Rinse that water. Okay. Let's get started, everybody. Everybody got their desserts put away and everything's looking good. Okay, good. I can talk while you're eating. Okay, good. I got Pam's permission. Good. All right, so let's have a few announcements and kind of talk about what we got going on as a club. Yesterday was our monthly service project, and this was with Village Water Filters. And as a group, we had actually two groups. There were, I think, 6 or 7 in the morning, 6 or 7 in the evening of us there, and we assembled what I'm told, if our math is right, about 1,200 water filters between the two groups. So pretty good turnout, and just had it going like assembly. Everyone's arm muscles are strong. We were just going. Yes, it was a good experience, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that when our speaker comes up in a bit. Other things going on, Drive for Vision is happening in June. Is anyone on the committee here that knows, is there anything we need to discuss for Drive for Vision at this point? It's still early, but.
Well, I think the first meeting is 21st.
Is it the 21st? Okay, so first meeting is coming up on the 21st. Still looking for volunteers for the committee? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so to repeat, the first meeting for Drive for Vision is on the 21st. Anyone who's interested in being on the committee, still looking for committee members, and that also goes for the blind dinner date. We had our first meeting this week. Next meeting is coming up on February 24, also looking for committee members. So there's a real need. So I did send out an email. It is incumbent upon us as Lions to serve. Please serve on a committee. We'd love to have you. So if you haven't and you're considering it, reach out to either to me or to Don, anyone else if you know who's on the committee, or to Cheryl. Reply to any of the emails that come from the Lions website and express an interest. We'd love to have you. Other stuff that's going on, we have a social event coming up on February 6th. And are there still openings, Cheryl?
Yes. Okay,
we still have openings. We can seat, I think it was a maximum of 35 at the event. Fen Valley Vineyards, and this is from 1 to 4 p.m. on the 6th. You do have to RSVP. We do have a cap on the number of people we can have in. So please reach out to Cheryl if you'd like to attend, and it should be a good time. And other stuff that's going on, Gary, I am gonna hit you with this because I don't know if it's time to discuss it or not. Do we want to talk about the Afghan resettlement stuff at all? Just give
I have no more information on it yet.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
Not
so
yet.
more to come on that. We'll bring that up at a future meeting.
Yep.
Other stuff that's happening, I don't have any notes on district level stuff that's going on right now. Cheryl, anything? Nothing? And with that, I'm going to move right on to our tail twister. Not Jamie Janot today. It will be Ed Tower.
Ed Tower today.
Yeah.
So I will tell you a story about one of our esteemed members. He actually just received English services from 2 astute insurance organizations, and that was our own Ryan. That's the kind of
Does that count as a happy 10?
Hey, I got a buck for that. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Thank you.
if I go this way, there's no,
Everybody got their pin on? I'm looking.
Yeah, I'm a
Oh, our own president. Oh, God. They're gonna buy it.
I know,
And any happy butts for anybody? Anything good going on? Yeah. All right, Gary's got something.
I wasn't here for the,
He's always happy.
wasn't here for the first meeting of June.
Yeah, here, happened on California.
We were in California for the Rose Bowl Parade and the Lions Club float, which, did anybody actually get to see it in the TV? We were an award winner, which was phenomenal, because we beat Rotary, we beat Kiwanis, we beat all the other volunteer service organizations. And, unfortunately, I had COVID, and then we didn't get to go to the parade and to see the result of it, but it was okay.
He was quarantined.
I quarantined and Joe got to lock me up upstairs, and and that was fine. She was downstairs, but
You didn't have to get smuggled out of California?
I left illegally. Okay?
You know this is being recorded.
And we left at night.
It's being
So it's all
recorded.
recorded.
Okay. I don't care.
Come get me.
He's got an attorney sitting next to him.
I'll get attorneys everywhere. Okay?
Stop the tape.
We're not gonna put you in jail.
Bring you back.
But, so what we're working on is actually, you know, that, the exposure that that parade gets with our float is tremendous because it's all over the world. And they do that on about $150,000 budget, they make that float. And if we could increase that budget by 100,000, they could go to a next bigger size float and animate the whole thing. And then you're kind of guaranteed of winning a big award. So we're actually coming to all the Lions clubs in the US to say, hey, can you throw in 50 bucks? If everybody threw in 50 bucks, they'd have another 100,000 and you'd have this spectacular float that would have our roaring lion and all kinds of stuff. So that,
I bring it up at our board.
if you ever want to go there for the Rose Bowl parade, you can work on it. We've got all the people there. So it's a riot.
And the parade is broadcast around the world.
So it's a lot of fun if you ever want to do that. You can catch it there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Very good. All right, anything else? Anybody? All right, let me
3
get
years.
over here to this.
Not to confuse you, but yes.
If you want to ride on the float, it's only $5,000 donation. If you want to walk next to the float, it's $1,000.
Right?
They have to raise money somehow.
We're gonna let our esteemed speaker pick. You pick two.
Your stick's out.
And here's the white one. I have no idea how many red ones are. There's a lot.
The international president,
And I'm dropping it in.
my twin brother.
I'm mixing it up. First one he's gonna give me is a $5 winner. It's 0011.
Yes.
That's him.
Wow. Big money here.
Second one,
You come last. you get-
004. 0004.
Oh, that's me. That's right here. All right. That's
Okay.
good. Feel it. I can feel it.
So we're gonna go hold the mic, you start filling chips in
All
there.
right. Which one feels white?
You pick out the white one.
The slimy one.
That one.
If you
No.
don't pick it out, it rolls over. It keeps rolling.
Give her that one.
Mostly dead in.
All right, so nobody won that. And I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Temporary Tail Whisperer.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter, they're all losers.
There. Still a few more.
Thanks, Ed.
You're wrong.
Okay, as Ed puts away our raffle gear, I'm going to introduce our speaker for today. So our speaker is the Global Director of Business Connect. Also runs the Village Water Filter projects that we participated in yesterday. And this is Darin Fay. I'm so sorry. Darin, if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do. Love to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna get props. Can I take your bell off?
Sure.
Can I set it on the floor or was it?
You can put it
I don't wanna be-
anywhere.
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Gavel.
No,
I said a gavel there?
no, there's no
Yeah,
good.
bring it.
All right, water. We need water.
I was gonna set it on there.
I'll get another table.
There's a break back there in the corner.
I'm not saying that.
So thank you for welcoming me here, and thank you for those of you who came out yesterday and last evening to help put the filters together.
Just in case.
Yeah. I don't want to break that. All right, that's fine. Go for it. So to give you a little background, yeah, my name is Darin Fay. I'm the Global Director of Business Connect. We are an L3C limited low profit limited liability company based here in Grand Rapids, down on Vision. We've been in business for about 12 years. It was started by an ex-missionary to Africa. And when he came back 15 years ago or so, he wanted to find a way to work on a couple of the issues that he saw while he was over there. He and his wife were over there for over 20 years in several different countries. Two main issues were unsafe and unclean water that they ran into in every country they were in, and unemployment. So his goal in starting Business Connect was to bring safe and clean water to the world, but do it through business. So our slogan is creating hope through business. So we represent now, I think it's 8 different manufacturers of water filters and water treatment products. The majority of them are here in the US, and then a couple are in the UK. So we distribute the products to a lot of nonprofit organizations, to governments, direct to consumers in about 70 countries right now. And we do that ideally through local partners on the ground, small businesses run by local men and women who purchase the products through us here, and then they sell them on to their local communities, to the nonprofit organizations there. So they can bring clean water to their communities, but then also create jobs in the community, raise up the local economy that way. Village water filters is one of the products that we're the master distributor for. The filter itself, here, and you can pass this around. That's the inside of the filter. So that's what you see here. I'll start it. Village water filters was, the filter was developed by a retired dentist in Colorado who knew of this technology. It was being used in a couple other water filters globally. It's hollow fiber membrane technology. It came from kidney dialysis, cleaning blood. He knew of the technology, but the products that were available on the market were really expensive, and they were being used internationally for development and aid work, but they were a kit like this, like what you see here, was selling for $55, $60 in country due to the cost to manufacture here in the States. So he basically reverse engineered the product. I'll pass the filter around. Reverse engineered it, set up a nonprofit organization in Colorado to run the production and distribution of it, and that's Village Water Filters. And then so he approached us 6 years ago or so. He knew what we were doing globally and said, we need some help distributing this filter. Would you guys take a look at it? So we started working with him. I'm going to stop this because it's loud, but you can see the flow there. I'll talk about it a little more in a bit. Yes, we helped him distribute the filters, and we did. We started working with him, sending them all over the globe. And then because of health issues, he moved to the Philippines to Thailand about 4 years ago. And then at that time, he asked if we could take over managing the production of the filters here in Grand Rapids. It's all done by volunteers. The people from your group that came out yesterday. We have, church groups, school classes that come out, just families that come out. Just groups of housewives will come if they have a morning a week, to assemble filters, put kits together. In that way, we can keep the cost as low as possible to get these out to communities. So this filter kit, which comes with everything you see here, not the bucket, but everything you see here to filter the water, along with the cleaning syringe, which I'll show you, we sell it for $18.50 here. So landed in country and sold, they're usually $25 to $30 by the time you ship and pay import taxes and stuff. But it's about half price of what the other existing technologies were at the time that this was developed. So we have a big need for volunteers. So groups like you guys are wonderful. We have 4 or 5 retired gentlemen who come once a week for a couple hours. They're bored. They like to give back. Guys like them are perfect. We have some groups who come once a year, some groups who come once a month, some groups that come once and move on to something else. But we definitely have a need for it for groups ongoing. In a typical month, we will assemble and ship out anywhere from 3,000 to 15 to 20,000 filters, depending on time of the season, and if there are big natural disasters around the world, we have a huge increase in demand for them. But the filter itself can filter a couple hundred liters per day, removes 100% of all biological contaminants, so cholera, typhoid, E. coli, Giardia, dysentery, all those issues that get spread around in water. along with all dirt and, other suspended materials in the water. And they can last for 5 to 10 years without needing to be replaced, without any replacement parts needed. So the really interesting thing about it is, the way that it's cleaned is, and this is, like this filter went around, this is what's filtering. To clean it and to prolong the life of it, you just suck up some of the clean water, the filtered water, in the syringe that comes with the kit. You screw that syringe onto the end of the filter and you back flush it. So you squirt it backwards through there, and that flushes out any of the tiny particles that are trapped inside the membranes of the filter there. So then you do that 3 or 4 times until the filter's cleaned out, and then it's good to go. Each kit also comes with adapter pieces like this, so that people who collect rainwater off their roofs in big tanks, if they have a tap or faucet on them, you can screw it onto the faucet and filter the water right from a tank. So you just put the filter right on there. So this is the biggest product that or the most by volume that we distribute around the world. It's been certified by the World Health Organization. That went through about a year and a half worth of testing to get that certified by the World Health Organization. Groups like Doctors Without Borders have now adopted it as their main filter that they use for disaster relief and rural development. So they purchased 3,000 or 4,000 of them at a time. I guess the group that was there yesterday, a bunch of those filters are going to Sudan for Doctors Without Borders. And just last month, we sent 3,000 to South Sudan for Doctors Without Borders. So yeah, this is our main product, but we have a few other products made. One was made by Procter & Gamble. It's a little packet of powder that you put in water, stir it around. You can have really nasty, dirty water. Stir it around for a few minutes. It has a flocculant in it that causes all the suspended particles to clump together, and they all fall to the bottom. And then it has some chemicals in there to kill all the bacteria and viruses. So that's a good product. If the filters aren't an option, you can hand out these little packets, and they each treat 10 liters of water, 2.5 gallons. We distribute that by the container load around the world, mainly to organizations that use it, along with like forage that they will distribute in areas. And then in the US, we also sell that like to campers and hikers and survivalists. We also distribute Aquatabs, which is a little chlorine tablet that's popular here in the US for the outdoor community, but we also ship that around the world and distribute it to nonprofits here in the US that take that internationally for disaster relief. If you want to, on your way out, you can grab, there's a packet with a little bit more information, some samples of those couple little things I just talked about, and some information on village water filters specifically. But I think that's, I did want to mention, this is another product that we work in the water space. For the first 9 years or so of the company, it was mainly just water. And then the last couple of years, even about a year before COVID, we started to get into more of the wash space in general. If you're not familiar with that, it's water, sanitation, and hygiene. So it's a term that's used in nonprofit organizations globally. So we provide and distribute some hand washing stations to groups around the world. And then last year we were approached by a gentleman in Duluth, Minnesota, about a product that he had developed. He's a mountain biker. It's this here, it's called Crud Cloth. But inside each packet here is a 12-inch by 12-inch terry cloth washcloth, so heavy-duty washcloth, with a pod of soapy water. And this one's scented. This is citrus. So he needed a way to clean himself up. If he'd go on a ride, at his lunchtime, he needed to clean up before he got back to work. So he invented this. Basically, so right now the washcloth is dry, kept separate from the pot of soapy water. When you need to use it, you just smack it really hard, kind of like an ice pack. Squish it around a little bit, tear it open, and then you have a washcloth that's heavy duty enough to clean yourself off and your gear. I bring this up because we initially started distributing these mainly through outdoor stores, bike shops, but then we had a couple homeless shelters and disaster relief organizations find out about it, and they said this is an awesome product for them if they didn't, some of them had mobile shower units that they used for homeless communities, but they didn't have enough capability to get everybody through there. So that product is starting to be distributed by a lot of organizations like that. And even my dad, he's volunteered with the Red Cross after hurricanes down south. And he said, you know, a product like this would have been wonderful because a few times he's been down there, they've had to go a couple days without showers. This has just enough soap to clean you off. It doesn't leave a residue that you have to rinse off after. But so we took over the manufacture of this in July of last year. So that's also being manufactured here in Grand Rapids too. We distribute that nationally. So I think that's about it. Any questions about anything? Yeah.
These are a little different than the ones we put together last night. They're smaller.
No, this is the same
Is
one. Yep.
Same one.
So that will do.
This, yes, no, what I know what you're talking about. This cartridge here is a sample one that's clear. So the one inside there, you will be able-
Bigger?
it's a little bigger and it has a opaque side. So
Yeah.
yes, you're right. This filter itself is the same one, but the cartridge inside, this is just a sample.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So you just put the backwash right on the blue.
So yeah, you just screw the syringe right on here. And so that was actually one of the, so this filter is patented as well. A couple of the other existing technologies didn't have the capability of attaching the syringe to the filter when you backwash. So especially for younger people or older ladies, when they were trying to do it, you had to hold the filter and the syringe together in one hand while trying to backwash, and water would squirt all over. This one's nice, you can just screw it on, do that. And then if you happen to lose the syringe or break it, those of you who put these together, you maybe noticed there's threads on the inside here, which thread onto a plastic Coke or Pepsi bottle. So if you lose the syringe, you can fill that bottle with clean water, screw that on and just squeeze the bottle.
So how often do you have to
Nice.
clean that?
Yeah, so we suggest people get in a habit of doing it every day. If they're filtering a couple 100 liters of water, at the end of the day, take 2 minutes and clean it, just like you wash your dishes after dinner every night. It's not necessary to do it every day. You know, if you're filtering relatively clear water, you can probably go a week or two. Like we use this same setup in South Africa when we lived there. My family lived in South Africa for 10 years. We used it and we were lazy and we cleaned it maybe once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks when we noticed that the flow of the water would start to slow way down, which meant it had trapped a bunch of junk inside. Then we would clean it out. But we tell people, especially nonprofit organizations, when they're teaching, training the beneficiaries, to just train them to get in a habit of doing it every day or every other day. But you can run really black, you know, really, really brown muddy water through here, 3 or 4 buckets full, and it'll still be running fine. You know, if you're running that dirty of water through, you should clean it every day. But nothing's going to break inside. It'll just slow down to the point where it's just dripping out.
Ann wants to drink it.
Well,
Yeah, no, you can try
well,
it.
we live on a lake and a lot of times if our power goes out. or
Sure.
whatever, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Yeah.
Lake water and just.
We sell some of them here in the U.S. too, you know, for those campers or survivalists. People put them in, you know, in a bag in case of an emergency to use.
And the washcloth things for when my grandkids are in the car.
Yes, no, a lot of people, yeah, they're keeping them in the glove compartment of their car. If you spill ice cream or a kid
Oh, yeah.
vomits in the car, or you have something, or baby has a blowout diaper and you don't, wet wipes can't do it.
Been
so,
there, done that.
Yeah. And then the nice thing about it too is, you know, the cloth is reusable, so you just take it home and wash it, and then you have a washcloth or rag at home versus using 20 or 30 wet wipes to try to clean up and throw them all away. This you can reuse again.
Those are commercially available.
Yeah. There's, in that packet, there's information about them too.
So even like, you know, you go to where the sewage is being dumped in the river, that water is gonna still be good.
So it'll remove all the biological contaminants, so not the chemicals. So what we get a lot at when we take this out to shows, people say, you know, if I pee in that water, will you drink it? I'm like, sure, it's fine. It'll take all the bacteria out of there. But if there's chemicals in your system, like from medicine or whatever you're taking, it doesn't remove that. But all the biological contaminants and that's what mainly causes stomach issues with people, gives them diarrhea overseas, you know, and what they die from is the cholera and the E. coli versus a long-term exposure to a chemical or something, especially in the rural communities where we work. Yeah.
Is the filter patented?
The filter itself, the inside cartridge,
Right.
I don't know that that's patented. It's made by a company in Japan. So there's a company in South Korea and in Japan that can make them to this specification, this quality level. There's companies in China that make them as well, but they're not guaranteed to the absolute spec that these are. So we pay more to get
I'm
these.
wondering, what is the filter
So yeah, I can explain a little more.
for the layman
On the other
or woman?
So yeah, inside, so these are, it's hollow fiber membranes is what they're called. So it's a bunch of U-shaped hollow tubes, so like straws that are folded over in a U shape. But then on the outside surface of those straws are thousands of microscopic little holes. And those holes are smaller than the bacteria cells. So the dirty water flows in here, the dirt and the bacteria physically can't get through those holes, just the water molecules fit through them, and then it flows out the end of those straws through the filter then. So then when you backwash, you're just flushing, pushing that water through and
Back out.
cleaning out all those little tiny pores.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned Doctors Without Borders as a big client. Are there any other philanthropic organizations that have picked
Sure.
up on this?
Yeah, we do a lot with World Vision, Save the Children, Compassion International. We've done a lot with Rotary. Rotary does a lot with water projects around the world. So a lot of Rotary projects, most of the bigger nonprofit organizations that work globally, we've done some work with in some capacity. We have there's a larger version of this, which is 10 inches. We have a system that has two of these 10-inch cartridges, and that one can filter more than 50,000 liters a day, so 13,000 gallons a day, without any electricity, to the same level as this, and that's used for clinics and schools in rural communities. And the same way you can backwash it. It doesn't use a syringe, but it has a couple valves. You open and close the valves to run it backwards through there to flush that out. So those will last 7 to 10 years before you need to replace those cartridges. So that's like Rotary. We just did a project with Rotary in Dominican Republic in December. They installed 20 of those bigger systems in schools in Santiago, in the city, where they had municipal running water, but everybody knew there you can't drink it. So.
Do you have a few for-profit competitors or people who are doing the same thing?
Sure, yeah. Like this filter was kind of designed after Sawyer products. So Sawyer developed they're the best known one.
Yeah.
And they supply a lot in the US too for campers and hikers. So we actually were the initial distributor. We brought Sawyer filters globally in their first 5 years. And we were selling them at that $55 or $60 mark because that was what, our cost was $35 or $40 here in the States, and then we had to bring them internationally. So when the developer of Village Filters approached us, we loved the idea of it being cheaper and being easier to use. And then Sawyer didn't like us working with the competitor, so we kind of cut ties. And so they're still doing a lot of good work around the world. Their filter works well too. Ours has a few benefits to it. But there's a few other brands now that are starting to develop it too.
Yeah.
Most of them are not run as nonprofits.
Right.
You may have said, but how long has this been around?
The Village filter was designed in 2014 is when the patent is, or 2015. So we've been bringing them internationally since 2016, I think is when we started.
You talk about the difference it makes, and just from our first world perspective, you don't often think about it, but for a family that doesn't have filtered water, going from that to now they do, what kind of difference does that make in their lives?
So the best story is that I heard actually took place in South Africa. It wasn't told to me, but to Lou Havman, who's the founder of Business Connect. There was a rural school, and one of the families in the school got one of these filters, and so the family started drinking the water. And one day there was I think a clinic at the school or something. They tested everyone, and they all had to give a urine sample. And apparently the child from the family that had this, he got pulled aside and they said, "No, something's wrong, with you." And I said, "Oh, what's wrong?" "Well, your urine is clear. Everyone else's is red." And they thought, well, it's supposed to be that way. but he, that was all the junk that they were taking in was coming out that way. So everyone thought this one child was sick when in reality it was everybody else. But yeah, it also, eliminates the need to walk miles to get clean water. If you have a water source nearby that's just not clean, you can still use that source, versus like we were talking about earlier, walking miles every day to get clean water. And this can be used, for animals as well. Animals can get sick from contaminated water too. So people use these and even the bigger systems on their farms and that.
So my refrigerator has a thing for water, filtered, it tastes different than out of the tap. So
Yeah.
is it doing the same kind of thing?
Same thing, but probably a little bit more as well. So it probably has a activated carbon in there too. So that will help with some of the chemicals, and there's maybe something else in there to help with like dissolved metals if there's lead or something. So this won't remove metals and chemicals. Yeah. But again, in the majority of the world where these are used, it's very rural and they don't have issues with that in general.
So you're in, business just 5 days a week, you just drop in?
Yeah, we're there, right on South Division between, oh yeah, okay. If you want to come and volunteer, it'd be best my wife, Jonna, is the one that handles the volunteer groups. Be best to connect with her, ahead of time, just to make sure we don't have another group there. But we can accommodate people at any time, when mornings, afternoons, nights, so. But if anyone's interested in just seeing the operation, you can stop in at any time. There's someone around that we can show you what's going on. Yeah.
You probably said that. Are you the only one manufacturing this
Yes.
filter? Okay.
And that spigot thing, you use that for rainwater?
This here.
Yeah.
So this is a common faucet or tap that's found internationally. Like in South Africa, a lot of people had this on a big tank where they collected rainwater off the roof. Then they install this in the bottom of the tank and fill buckets. So each kit comes with this adapter so that you can just put the filter right on there to filter the rainwater then. Because a lot of times they'll collect the rainwater, but they'll just use it for their gardens or whatever because there's bird poop and whatever else on the roof, so they don't drink it. But if you run it through the filter, then they can use it as drinking water.
Well, my sister lives in Alaska and they collect the rainwater.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I might Christmas gift,
Sure.
because I always have to drink water.
How can you buy one if someone wanted one local?
Yeah, you can contact us and pick one up there, or we ship them too. We sell them on Amazon too, but it's cheaper if you just come and buy one from us.
What do they sell it for? What do you sell it for?
Well, for normal retail price is $25 here in the US,
Well, that's
but
very
there's
reasonable.
$18.50 for nonprofits.
Reasonable.
Other questions for Darin?
No, thank you.
Darin? You may, and I'm gonna give you this too as a token of thanks for being here. You can have a Lions Club mug and have some filtered water on it.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Can I just take 1 second since we have, oh, my watch just died. I think we got a couple more minutes. If you're in the room and you did volunteer yesterday at the service project, can you just put a hand up? Get a good turnout from here. So thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much.
Great.
Thumb still hurt.
I got blisters.
All right, and we're adjourned, everybody. Darin?
Yeah.
Really interesting.
This would be ideal to take along and leave. We did before we had a solar power truck. Charged it outside.
Stop your,
Oh.
do it on there.
This would be every trip. Leave it.
Just done it.
Oh, just right there.
You can put